this is for the.
All right, so
the
we're gonna,
tracking?
yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about tracking.
Okay.
So, we've talked a little bit about time management. We've talked a little bit about goals. One of the things that I'm still kind of fine tuning right now is everyone's kind of getting a one-on-one at the beginning just to kind of, take stock of where you're at, where you want to be. I want to give everyone an opportunity to create a 1-3-5 and a 4-1 and give me a chance to take a look, give you some thoughts, some edits, some strategies, some tips, whatever it may be. And then ideally you're using this as a simple way to identify what your priorities are. Then what we do is we take, so let's review. So the GPS is going to set out your one goal, 3 priorities, and 5 strategies for each of the 3 priorities. So now you got a bunch of stuff to do, right?
Yeah.
And generally speaking, the one goal is an income goal. So let's just say it's your annual income. Then the income is going to be achieved by executing on 3 specific priorities. Okay, we talked about a couple different ways of doing that. We talked about database growth, we talked about appointment setting, we talked about personal development, we talked about having a listings-based strategy, we talked about a lead-based strategy and a leverage-based strategy. We talked about a number of different ways that we could identify what these threes are, what these 3 ideas are.
I build my database to 400, feed my database, and systematically touch my database.
So that's another one. That's what we suggested for new agents. So we focus on 3 main things. One is building the database, right? So collecting all the people that you currently have. One is feeding it all the time, right? So that is going to imply the lead side, right? The lead generation strategy. Is that going to come from cold calls, open houses, sphere of influence? What expireds? Where is it going to come from? And the third one is touching it, right? Setting up the 36 touch, the 8x8, the 7 to cement, the 19 to connect, all those things where we are going in and saying, what's the standard for phone calls to my database? What's the standard for events for my organization? What's the standard for text messages? When do they get, how do we do happy birthdays or home anniversaries or any of that kind of thing? What's your plan and how's it gonna get executed? So then what we do is we take the GPS and we turn that into a 411, right? So this is a tool that you're probably going to look at, I'm gonna say probably once a month. Nothing wrong with looking at it more often. I'd say this is pretty much like a monthly, like, am I in check? Like, what's my temperature type evaluation? The 411, remember.
I have a question when you.
Yeah.
Can we have more than one GPS?
So this would be my answer to that. Every specific goal that you have, right, deserves a 1-3-5.
Right,
So-
because in my 411, even though I have stuff on my 411 that's not on my GPS, because I also wanna.
Right, it probably belongs on a different 1-3-5 that you haven't created.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, every goal that you have, remember this is kind of your business GPS, should talk about your annual income, right, or the number of families you're gonna help. However, if let's say you have an investment goal, or a profit share
okay.
goal, or a health-related goal,
Mhm.
or a family-related goal, right? You could very well have that as the goal for the GPS, and then make sure that the elements from that you have committed to, or that you now feel is a priority, end up on your 411, right? So if you think about it, the 401, if we break it into job, business, financial, and personal, right? Theoretically, what you're saying is that you have 4 1-3-5s. See what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So even, because I thought that inside the 411, you would break down your goals into each one of those categories.
That is correct. However, possibly. But a different way to look at it is to say, like for you, when you create an annual income GPS, it's probably functioning in these two right here.
Okay.
But if you have some personal goals, let's say you want to save for, let's say you want to lose weight, or you want to start reading, or you want to learn a new language, or something like that, then you would essentially say, I want to learn Spanish in 2020.
Right.
Now, how is that going to happen? Okay, I need somebody that speaks Spanish with every day. I need some type of curriculum, right? And you come up with the 3 priorities and then the 5 strategies. You could easily do that. So when I first got involved in GPSs, I created one for my business. I created one for profit share because I wanted $100,000 in profit share a year within 5 years, right? And I'm about 3.5 years into that, right? And I also created one for my assistant who I didn't have to prove to myself that I couldn't handle all the stuff on my plate.
Right.
And then I needed to get some help, right? So this stands for 4 weeks, right? 1 month and 1 year. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that and we're gonna put it into our calendar. And that is the method of time blocking. So if you say to yourself, I'm gonna go to the gym for 30 minutes, which 30 minutes during this day are you going? Right? And I need to have clarity on that to make sure it happens. Okay? So this is kind of a summary of how these three things work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these are going to be the tools that do a couple of things. Number one, they're going to help you understand what your priorities are, right? Number two, they're going to help your accountability partner understand what your priorities are, right? And you're going to pick your accountability partner. We're going to talk a lot about that this week, is making sure that you have accountability. So if you're involved in the ramp up process, they have some recommendations. If you are not or haven't found one, you need one. And if you need help with that, just let me know and I'll help you find one.
So, okay, so that's funny you said that, because I've been taking the ramp up classes, and it seems that Chad is pestering me because I haven't signed up for accountability partner on their website.
Good.
Like,
Who's your accountability partner?
I have Marinelli.
Okay.
So I have one in office, but maybe I should have more than one. Just to,
I think that would be good.
yeah, okay.
I think that would be
And
good.
I might also think about doing my wife, but I'm thinking about that, because that could be troublesome.
Don't do that.
I would probably lay off on that until you get into a better habit of accountability,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Or if you see yourself struggling with things that those accountability partners can't help you with.
Yeah.
But be careful. So let's say that there's somebody in Denver that is going through ramp up,
Yeah.
and they also need an accountability partner. Do you think that that person would think of you when their people might want to move to Atlanta? Do you think that could help your business somehow?
Yeah.
I agree too. So go get somebody and make a
So
phone call
I'll
with
sign
them.
up, I mean, I was gonna do it last night, but I got distracted.
When are you gonna do it by? Today?
Yes, I'm
So
gonna.
when I see you tomorrow, you're gonna have an accountability partner?
Yeah, I have one already, but I'll have
No,
one.
that's, I know that.
Yes.
I'm talking about a new
I
one.
will send you have to request it through Facebook or something like that.
I don't care if you have to drive to Denver, you're gonna have an accountability partner
Yes,
by
I will.
tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. Did you write it down? I'm just kidding. I'm
Yes.
being hard on you.
I'm making a mental note.
Okay, I'm only asking because it's gonna help you, and I care about how you do. Okay, so we're gonna do some tracking. We're gonna talk about tracking a little bit. So in my perfect world, everyone is gonna tell me every time they got something going on, okay? Because I'm expected to, as I'm building this program, and it's obviously in my financial best interest to get you guys into production and to help you grow your business, right? So I want to make sure that, number one, you have the ability to track, that you know what to track, that you aren't slack about tracking or not tracking, right? Because quite frankly, I want you to write down some zeros. You're not gonna have numbers every single week all the
Right.
time. I want you to write down a zero so you can look at it and stare at it and get pissed off at it, right? I used to put one of the signs when I would have extra signs at my house. I wouldn't hide them in the basement where I never saw them until I had a listing and I had to go get it. I put them right, if this is the driveway, right, and this is the garage door or whatever, that thing would open, bam, there's that sign staring me in the face. I couldn't park without seeing it. And I walk in the door, I'm like, what the hell is it doing there? Ain't gonna help me sell nothing. I gotta get this thing in somebody's front yard. See what I'm saying?
I organize my garage so I can see it every time.
I love that. That works.
But that was just organizing because my wife was complaining about the garage.
Well, you know, you kept your wife happy and you have a reminder
Yeah.
that you need to get to work.
Yes. I have them up on the wall.
And the
I
second
rack them.
you go find a yard to put that one in, go buy an extra one
Yeah.
and stare at that one. Get pissed off that it's sitting in your garage.
I was very I bought 3.
Good.
Good.
Just don't
Yeah,
don't put one in front of your wife's car.
Yeah.
Maybe wait for that.
No, but I think I have a nice spot for it right now.
I love it.
Yeah, so.
I love it. So my point is that we need to make sure that we're tracking the right stuff, okay? And I wanna see if there's any trends going on in the room. And I wanna see if there's area for improvement. So let's say, for example, we set, as a group, let's say we set 25 appointments in a week. Yet we only go on 10. So what's happening? There's an issue with getting the person to actually show up for the meeting, right? Or, which is essentially telling you that they don't value the time they're gonna get from you enough, or they would have canceled something or postponed something, right? If we have a ton of appointments, yet we're not signing any paperwork, we got a different issue that we gotta focus on, right? And if we have contracts written, and then we don't have a lot of closings, we got issues with keeping the deal together. So the more data we can collect, the more we can focus on what the biggest shortfall is. So these are the numbers that I'm wanting to track at this moment, okay? Number one, I wanna talk about hours you lead generate, okay? I wanna talk about, minutes in command. Okay, I don't care if it's 2 minutes a day, just do something in command every day, okay? The more unfamiliar with the product you are, the more you'll be amazed at what it will do. There are literally thousands of videos online right now on command and stuff you can do. Everything from opportunities to campaigns to designs to, I mean, the list goes on, okay? I also wanna track contacts.
When you say contact, you mean this is people that you talk to, or?
This is a two-way conversation about real estate with somebody,
Okay,
okay? That could include, I'll accept the fact that it could be over social media or text, okay? So this is
that's
in
two-way
person.
conversation.
Two-way conversation. This is not happy birthday and nothing. And this is not happy birthday and thank you. This is a conversation about
About
real
real
estate.
estate.
It's not be saying, hey, you're interested in real estate, and they don't respond.
That would not be, that would not qualify.
Okay.
But if you say that and they say no, that counts.
Okay.
And if they say yes, that counts. Two-way.
Yes.
Two-way conversation. Remember the verbiage you're gonna start to see a lot more in KW is this difference between what they call a lead and a contact. Okay, so if I were to say how many people are in your database, there are some of those people that we would call leads. This is kind of the almost, it's not quite the same thing, but it's almost like a not met. Right, it's somebody in your farm that you are, communicating with, yet they have not actually communicated back. So this is a one-way relationship so far. This is what happens when they become a two-way relationship, a contact. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how many real estate conversations are we having every day? Okay, I wanna talk about, ads.
What's the minimum we should have, or you're just saying,
The minimum you should have is based on your specific goal.
okay,
So that is gonna be a function of what pops up in the economic model, which we're gonna do a big seminar on Friday. And in the
Okay,
meantime, you're more than happy to work through that worksheet, and I can help you with the math.
okay.
I would say that based on, would you say 20 units you wanna close this year?
Yeah, something like that.
20, 40, I'd say you're probably a minimum of 10
10
conversations about real estate a day.
a day, not a
Day.
week, okay.
A day.
Damn, behind schedule.
Let that be the aha. This is all for you. The more conversations you have, the more deals you'll do, the more money you'll make, the more options you'll have, the more flexibility you'll have, the more opportunities will come to you, the more your wife will love you, everything will be better.
You mean to tell me I want to love you because of more money?
I didn't say that.
I'm just joking.
I said if you showed up with flowers every day, she'd love you more, right?
Yeah, true,
Okay.
true. And how do I get?
Is that fair to say, Kathy?
Yeah.
That is definitely true. I know that for a fact.
Right. Well, in order to show up with flowers every day, two primary things have to happen. Number one is you have to have the money to buy flowers every day, and secondly, you have to have the time to buy flowers every day.
Yeah.
True.
Right. So everything we do, 100% of everything we learn, and all the technology that we are releasing and studying and getting better at, is designed to help you do two things: make more money and have more time. That's it. There's only two things real estate agents complain about: more money and more time. That's it. I mean, do you agree? You've been in the
I
business a
agree.
long time.
Yep.
It all focuses on that.
Yep.
How much profit can my business put out? And do I have enough time to enjoy the things I want to enjoy? There's no judgment. If you wanna work 80 hours a week, fine. If you wanna work 10 hours a week, fine. It all comes back to your calendar. If you're gonna be working, you may as well be efficient. Right?
Yep.
So how many people are we adding to our database? Okay? Then, of course, the normal stuff, which is appointments set, appointments held, contracts written, pendings, closings. I know this kind of seems like a lot, but
But those are the important things.
here's the thing. And let's also track GCI. Here's
What
the
is
thing. GCI is gross commission income. That's how much
Okay.
money you're paid. Okay, or that's how much money the brokerage is paid technically. So, let's just say, Kathy, you have a pretty good business here, right? You're making decent money, you're having fun, you got, come list me's every once in a while, you got buyers that are coming back to you without having to fight too hard, right? So, it's easy to kind of let that, that's good, but good is the enemy of great, right? And if a whole week goes by and you haven't added anybody to your database, or you haven't set any appointments or held any, or if you just happen to have to write 0 under contracts written or pendings, like you're a professional real estate agent and you let a whole week go by without putting anything under contract?
Yeah.
Again, you don't necessarily have to do that every week to hit your goals, but I want that to sting a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And then, gosh, if you have to do it 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, I mean, you've
Right.
had months where you didn't have a closing, right?
Mhm.
Me too. Have you had 2 months in a row without a closing?
Yep.
Me too. Right? But if I write down 0 contracts written 3 or 4 times in a row,
Yeah, and then that's
I
a
might
nice
have to
fire.
go back to my plan and say, is this getting me what I need? Right?
Yeah.
Or do I have junk in my calendar that's not supporting my goals?
So maybe it's not your plan, but maybe it's that part over there with the.
Well, you gotta know what to put in the calendar.
Yeah.
But doesn't necessarily appear up here, but needs to be here, are things like, going out to dinner with your friends and going to a movie and going to church and these, I'm not saying those are not important. I'm just saying you've got to determine what you want your life to look like. And if basically you are, how do I wanna say this? You have a huge amount of clarity on what you need to do in your time here, but more than half your schedule is filled with other crap. So you have to determine if that's working, right? So I'll give you a poor example. Let's say you love going up to South Carolina, right? And you go there 3 times a month, but you're not hitting your financial goals. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go there 2 times a month so you can work a little bit more so you can hit your financial goals? Are you gonna change your financial goals? We have to evaluate that,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? And so I'm not suggesting which direction you go. I'm just suggesting that you, what Susan Scott says, in Fierce Conversation, she says, you've got to interrogate reality. The reality is, you're not putting up the numbers. So what are we gonna do about that? Right? And the reaction to what are we gonna do about that should not be, I'm gonna stop tracking,
Yeah, yep,
right?
Yeah.
Because then you have even less of a chance of hitting your numbers.
I think I see where you're going with the tracking, because that should be able to give you some clarity,
Of course.
on where you need to focus sometimes, because maybe
Yeah.
you're not doing enough. Like, I know for a fact, when you asked, when I asked you the question, how many conversations I need to have each week, each day, and you say 10, I know I'm falling short of what I'm required to do.
Well, the other issue is that you didn't know.
Right.
yeah,
Right, so let's say that you owned a big old pastry type shop. And you're the owner, and I'm coming in as, you ever seen that show, The Profit, I think is what it's called, where that guy comes into struggling businesses and he
Oh, yeah.
turns it
yeah.
around or whatever? He wants to know the financials right away.
Mhm.
Same with, if you're on like Shark Tank or whatever. It's like, all right, how much does it cost to make a bagel? How much do you sell it for? How many units have you sold? How often are you open? How many people are on staff? How much is your rent? You're expected to know the nitty gritty of your business.
Mhm.
This is no different,
Right.
right? So if I were to say, Charleston, in order for your real estate organization to be profitable, how many deals do you have to do? I would expect you to know, right? I would also expect you to know how many appointments you have to go on each week or month or year in order to pull that off,
Right.
right? Because if you don't know that, you don't even know how to be profitable, much less be profitable,
Mhm.
right?
So then, I think somebody said you could be lucky.
Well,
Yeah.
luck.
Or you
is-
could make luck.
I've commented on both of those ideas. Being lucky would be sitting on opportunity desk all year, hoping to God that enough phone calls come in to have you make some money.
Right.
But if I wanna make $100,000, I don't think that's probably gonna happen on opportunity desk.
Right.
Activity-based luck, which we've talked a little bit about, is basically going up and talking to a ton of people about real estate. Right? That's essentially what it is. Well, the more people you talk to, the more opportunities you'll have to set an appointment.
Right.
So it's not really luck, it's just work.
Yeah.
Right? The more you work, the more success you'll have. Right? So, this is, and by the way, if we're tracking how much money you made, like, what if you had a real job and you went and did your work all day, and at the end of the week, the owner says, hey Kathy, I appreciate you doing all that work today, or this week, but we're not gonna pay you actually. Would you be upset or would you be happy? Okay, so if you have to
Somebody
turn
else.
in your numbers every week and you didn't make any money that week, that should make you re-examine your priorities and therefore re-examine what you do on a daily basis. Again, this is not a interrogation of your intelligence or anything like that. It is strictly an examination of the reality of what you're doing versus what you're getting. It's that simple.
Now, I don't see, something on there that we should be doing,
What's that?
which is practicing your scripts and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm more than happy to do we believe that would be,
Something to track,
Yeah.
I thought that, because everyone that you talk to
Yeah,
say
okay.
that you want to spend some time every day practicing it, you know?
so let's say minutes, practicing. So that should be, so scripts and presentations.
Yeah.
Listing presentation, buyer presentation. If somebody calls you and says, hey, Charleston, I need you to come over to my house, I'm thinking about listing my home, I need you to be there in 15 minutes. I know you're only 5 minutes away from my address, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, you ain't got no time to practice.
Right.
You need to have it so natural that you're good, right? I like that idea, and I'll do one more thing. Let's just, let's add one more thing, which is, properties previewed, or properties visited. So that'll count with the buyer, properties that you're taking buyers to, as well as properties, you know, for example, you host an open house, or properties you go out and see yourself. So we're basically getting back into the habit of spending time, learning about the business and practicing the business, the foundational pieces. Then we're going to see inventory, and then we're going to meet people, right? And people are gonna go through this process, right? Lead gen, contacts, database ads, up until GCI. Everything else is feeding your brain.
And to add to that point, I was thinking also education is important too.
Yep. Let's hold off on tracking that for now.
Okay.
I just don't want it to get too, I don't wanna get too much in the weeds.
Okay. All right.
If I
That's
don't
something I
start,
can
if
put
I
on my
start not
calendar.
seeing you enough, I will call you,
Yeah.
right? Cause if I don't have your report by Sunday, and then I can't reach you on Monday, and I can't reach you on Tuesday, and you're not coming in, I'm like, Charleston, I need to ask you a quick question. I'm sitting here looking at the GPS that we worked on, and it says you wanna make $95,000 this year. Is that still your goal? Yes? Okay, cool. Do you have another job that I should be aware of? Anything going on in your personal life that is preventing you from answering the telephone and fulfilling the activities that you and I both know is gonna help you be successful? No, I don't have any family issues going on. Okay, do you still feel like you have all the tools and resources necessary to achieve this goal? I do. Well, what the hell's going on? Is this thing still important to you or not? Like, I mean, honestly, right?
I think that video that we got on the thing was.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Do you still love yourself?
I haven't seen that.
It's good. Oh, I haven't invited you to the thing yet, cause,
Yeah,
you need to make it official.
yeah, I'm doing
Um,
that today.
Beautiful. So, does this make sense?
Yeah,
Alright, so I'm working on finalizing the format, but ultimately what we're gonna have is the expectation you're gonna be reporting numbers every week. Okay?
So is that different from the success
The
report?
progress report
The
on,
progress report, this one here, this daily?
no, the progress report is from, Ramp Up. This is basically your way of keeping it all organized. So this, you don't need to send this to me necessarily.
Okay.
This is for your own.
So you want us to
plan.
fill out the one in?
If you're doing Ramp Up, I'd like for you to do the weekly report in Ramp Up. I mean, literally, this is gonna take less than 5 minutes,
Yeah.
right? And it's gonna be simple to calculate because you're calculating every day, because you're not going to work, you're not finishing work without,
knowing your
essentially,
numbers.
yeah, knowing your numbers. Like, it's almost like, let's say Kathy was my employee,
Mhm.
okay? And she comes to work and she goes into her office and she does what she does and she's got a plan, right? But before she leaves, I need proof that she worked, right? Well, what's the proof she worked? It's right here,
Okay.
right? Part of your work is looking at properties. Part of your work is learning technology. Part of your work is drumming up appointments. Part of your work is going to get pendings, right? So if you put up a bunch of zeros, as long as this isn't a zero, we need to discover where the issue is, right? I put in 2 hours of lead gen today, but I didn't add anyone to my database, I didn't have any conversations, I didn't book any appointments, I didn't put anything under contract. Okay, great, so walk me through those 2 hours. What did we do? What did we say? Who were we saying it to? Because something's probably, there's an issue there.
Could be that second bullet, which is you'll need to practice more.
That's right.
Mhm.
So there's gonna be a lot of stories that are told here, right? And we're obviously gonna celebrate it, right? When people have their, listings that are selling, listings that are going under contract, first closings, 3,000th closings, whatever it is, we're gonna celebrate that stuff because when you're having success, it makes you wanna have more success. When you're having success, it makes you wanna say, hey, dude, Charleston got 2 listings this week.
Yeah.
Why am I putting up
Yeah.
zeros? See what I'm saying? And honestly, I wanna be able to tell people that our team is crushing their team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I wanna create that environment where I say, look, you got two choices. You can come to the market center as a new agent, let's say, and get into productivity coaching, or you can not get into productivity coaching. These people make 3 times as much money, 3 times faster. So then it becomes an intelligence test. Charleston, would you rather have $100 in the bank or $50 in the bank? That's an intelligence
I
test.
would like to be poor, so.
Right, says no one,
Yeah,
right? Kathy, if given the choice, would you rather make 3 times as much money 3 times faster, or would you rather not? That's really the
Sign me up for
question.
3 times
Yeah.
faster.
That's really the question.
Yeah.
The question is not, do you wanna go into productivity coaching and pay 10%? The question is you're launching a business, do you wanna launch it 3 times faster, 3 times bigger, 3 times you know, or not? Right, actually, I might start asking the question like that,
that just gave me chill bumps.
yeah. So, Mr. and Mrs. New Agent, or Mr. New Agent, I have a question for you. Would you like to catapult your business 3 times faster and 3 times bigger, yes or no? Yes,
Yes.
great. Here's the paperwork for productivity coaching. Whoa, 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 no, seriously. 3 times faster or not 3 times faster? Which do you prefer? No strings attached. It's only work. You're gonna be doing it anyway, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna throw one more thing at you. I don't know if you guys would be interested, but I'll tell everyone here too. Next Monday at the Woodstock Market Center is a gentleman named Aaron Kaufman. He's been a friend and mentor of mine for many years. And he is essentially he's a self-proclaimed KW growth coach. So he goes around and teaches this class called the KW Effect. He usually teaches about 75 times a year across the country. And he's actually been doing a lot of regional trainings lately for regional directors, and he's met with Gary and he's friends with Jason. I mean, he's in the inner circle basically. He's gonna be teaching the KW Effect in Woodstock from 11 to 2 next Monday. It's free. And I have permission from him and from their TL to bring whoever I want. So I would like to bring you guys if you were interested.
I'm interested.
This is a class that there's gonna be some profit share themes to it, but in a 3-hour class, he really talks about profit share for like about the last 10 minutes or so. And what it mostly talks about is the Keller Williams value proposition and how it's different from elsewhere, for how it's different from independent companies, dependent companies, what Gary is doing and why he's doing it. And it really focuses on basically how awesome and how unique of an organization we are lucky enough to be a part of.
What, tell me the time again.
11 to 2 at the Woodstock Market Center on Monday, and I will send out the address.
I thought you sent out something.
I gave everyone a heads up just so they wouldn't book any appointments if possible.
Yeah.
I will give you the address shortly. I think it's
11 to 2.
725 Stonecroft, if I'm not mistaken, in Woodstock. It's right off of 92.
Behind Chick-fil-A, right
Yeah.
before, like if you leave here and go towards Woodstock, there's Chick-fil-A on the left, it's right behind, there's a light right after the Chick-fil-A, you turn left and it's right up there.
You're talking about the new office, right?
They moved?
They moved about a year and a half ago,
I
maybe.
didn't know that, it's been
Yeah.
2 years or.
They didn't move far. They only moved like
Okay.
a half a mile down the road.
Oh.
They've got a
Sorry,
big
don't listen
building.
to me, people.
That's okay. I will send you the address. Thanks, guys.
I didn't know what you were talking about anyway.